one of the things that comes to the next level is you've got a daily note. But let's say you're going to create a folder for some research you're doing. One of the things I'm always curious about is psychology. So when I create a folder, I'm not trying to save files by type. It would be like putting all the beds in your house in the same room because they're beds. Nobody does that. Context is much more important than type, gathering things where you expect to use them. And so what I would do is create this folder, and then I would create a home note. So this would be psychology home note. Now I do one other little thing. I put an underscore so it always sorts at the top of the list. It'll always be the first file listed. Then I use a template called the home note template. What does this do? Well, there's a couple things for me. First, it allows me to define an alias, and I'm going to delete that in the alias. I'm going to delete that little underscore. It'll give the date and time that I created the file, and it'll give it this tag called home note. This is all in the front matter. Now, this will allow me to say save interesting files, interesting notes about psychology. And I can start branches, but I use data view. And with data view, I have this little bit of code down here, which defaults into SQL. But we're going to change that in a second to look like a data view um, block and what it does for us. So I'm going to make a new note and let's talk about availability heuristic. Okay, that happens to be it'll just typing that in with two brackets will create a new note. You can see it's in the exact same folder. And I typically have a template for each of my notes as well, but for right now, we'll just leave it the way it is. And I know what this happens to be is the bias we all have toward our own thinking. We tend to believe what is most available, and what is most available to us is our own thoughts. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's go back and look at that home note. Well, I tend to like to rename the psychology note index. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to replace SQL with data view. And once I do that, we have to activate the plugin data view. So let's make sure we've got that plugin. I don't have it. So here's an opportunity for me to show you how to find it. So we'll say data view. There's that plugin. You see 689,000 downloads. Super popular. Download it, enable it. Let's check its options. Yep, we want it online. I'm fine with JavaScript, and I'm fine with those being in line as well. That's that keyword. Everything else looks good to go. Um, and so I'm going to accept that. Now, what has happened is this little bit of code here that was SQL. So let's put it back so you can see it. Now transforms into a report of every file that is in the same folder with my psychology home note. And so I can add to this file um, some comments by adding a little front back and say comments and say this is about our bias toward believing what we know. And you can see at the bottom is a link mentioned. And now you see there's a little description here. And so as you gather many, many more notes, this system makes it really easy to jump in and see not just file names that you can jump to immediately, but it also makes it easy to see a quick description. So it's a faster way for me to sort of organize all my information in a block without having to worry about tagging it or typing it.